there is going to be world changes happening. I can tell you to try not to get too involved in the fear and the worry and the control
and the drama.
And the trauma, because they're trying to create that, because there is still another fight going on in the unseen world with we're part of the galaxy, that when we move up, then all the other parts of the systems also get to move up. We are definitely being watched by higher beings of other planets, and many of their planets at the time that Earth was ready to do its shift, like now, they got like Atlantean time where it was destroyed. Okay, I am being told Earth is not to be destroyed. It is too important. It is too much of an experiment. But we are watching that if we, as creative DNA created beings on this Earth, get to shift, then they have hope that their planets can also do a shifting. Right. They are so focused on our little part in the very end of the big galaxy that 3AI Atlas came and did sprinkling of stardust. It was big federation. Originally, the Lyrians came to talk to me about that.
Welcome to Souls on Tap. I'm your host, Julianne Thon. Today's guest is a gifted psychic medium and an angelic reader whose connection to the angelic realm has been present since her childhood. A Reiki master, astrologer, and longtime metaphysics teacher, her work blends intuitive insight with direct guidance from archangels. A profound near-death experience further awakened her mediumship, deepening the clarity and compassion she brings to every reading. I'd like to welcome to the show, Kris Gibbs. Hi, Kris.
Hi, so glad to be here.
So much gratitude to you for agreeing to come on. I have been wanting to have you for a while, and I can tell you that I've had many sessions. I want the viewers to know I've had many sessions with Kris, and she is amazing, but we'll get into that. So to kind of set things off, Kris, you've been connected to the archangels since childhood. When did you first realize that this wasn't something everyone experienced?
Well, as you grow older, the realization becomes through experiences. So I would say younger, knowing that my sister, which I watched and knew I was much like her, okay, realized when my grandmother was going to die. She, back in the 60s, early 60s, we were both born in the late 50s, but in the early 60s, you did not call grandparents during the middle of the night. And many times it would be like phone, like you'd have to do a party line, okay? So sister was waking up my parents screaming and crying that my grandmother was going to die. She saw the death in her dream. I had vivid dreams, and I think that's when I knew it. But when my sister had the dreams that come true, she woke my parents up. My dad said, no. But we finally called my grandmother 2 a.m. in the morning. She was fine. Everything was good. 2 days later, exactly what my sister explained of my grandma having a heart attack and dying happened.
Wow.
Okay. My mother later admitted to my sister and I mean, we might have been seven and probably 9 at the time, because they're 2 years apart.
Pretty young.
So we were very young. And at that time, my mom admitted that she always had muddy water dreams when somebody would die in her family. So I understood this, like, I'm from a weird family. This is cool. This is interesting. But I knew that I was listening to music, and I would ask people, did you hear that music? Like, I'm singing and dancing. They didn't. I like, this is kind of different, hearing voices and hearing things. And then I would see shadows. I would see, like, when things would move, okay, around. I don't think I really got the clarity of auras until I had the birth of my children. And then I really tried to practice it. That was when all that aura cameras came out. But I would say when I was probably 7 to 10, but that was in the days as second from the oldest of 6 kids that then my parents got remarried to 9 kids. I was taking care of other little kids. I would see things in other houses. I was very much a strong protector, but I always did God connection, very much born Baptist, Christian. So that Christianity of knowing that I had somebody watching out after me and seeing pictures of angels in the churches, that was always something that I felt safe and secure with, as well as a parent that was a teacher and my mom that was a stay-at-home mom. So I was raised in a very loving family, very Christian focused. And what your belief factor is much what tours you into that upbringing or that openness to the intuitive, to intuition, into the knowing that you're different, into the what they call the woo woo, the healing. And so I think it was later when my mom got divorced, she had friends from all faiths, Baha'is, Sikh members. She had tarot people coming over to the house doing tarot cards for her, which intrigued me. We had Mormon friends. We had friends of all different natures that my mom finally ended up becoming more Buddhism, although she is Christian Buddhism, much like me. My dad's very still strong for Christianity faith. So your question was, when did it start? I would say age 7, but knowing that I had the gift and tried to kind of like, no, this is not me, this is not my family, then bringing it in when I lived with my mom, my teenage years with all of her friends and seeing her play with tarot cards, that was an interest of mine. And then in college, knowing that I actually had I know I'm talking forever, but I had a class in supernatural literature.
I love hearing every word, so go ahead.
Supernatural literature in college. I think it was like maybe my junior year, and I'm a literature major and I've been a teacher, and I was English and education going that direction. However, too young to really start teaching when I was 22. So I put it off and then came back to being a teacher for 25, almost 30 years. But at the first time we did supernatural literature class, who knew about that in the 70s? It was like the late 70s. And so I was so intrigued with palmistry. Like you could read your life on a palm as well as astrology. So I did like a 24-page research paper on on hand,
Palmistry.
Palmistry. I probably went through 27 books. It was the old days. We had to type it up. You had to do the footnotes. I mean, people of today don't even know about that with all of your open, AI computer stuff. But this was the old typewriter stuff. Okay. So knowing that when I was then in college or out kind of doing my retail sales, trying to figure out what I wanted to be because I didn't want to be a teacher, even though I had the degree, that I ended up reading palms for people when I was at restaurants, the waitress, or at a bar with a friend, or at a little coffee shop. Okay, so I was the one that people came to, and I was just fascinated, and I could read, and they kind of got scared, or they jumped in and said, "Tell me more, tell me more." Okay, isn't that a song from Mamma Mia? Yeah. I look and I hear music. It's very different on how I work. But I would say that kind of was the start of me learning the tarot and really jumping into it. And so I would say that when I was so busy just working, I didn't have a lot of time, but I always had that ability. But I think it was later when I ended up, I don't know, moving away from my family as a base, starting teaching. And then it was a group called the Celebration Bookstore in Colorado Springs that welcomed me. I started working there. I was raising my kids. I was teaching. A lot of things just opened up. I started having classes. I think it was self-esteem classes through the Unitarian Church. Before I knew it, psychics called me saying, "You're taking our people, you're doing this." Like, I'm doing what? I'm a psychic? What? It was scary, but it was at the same time learning and reading books, and my mom sending me books on the Seth tapes, which was one of the very first mediumships way back in the 60s, and then learning all the books, whether it's Wayne Dyer, Louise Hay, or Esther Hicks, or Dolores Cannon, or who is the lady that does all the angel readings? I can't think of her name, and she's in Maui anyway. There's different things that have happened in my life that have just pull together the knowledge that I have. And my daughter does astrology now. So, I mean, all this astrology has jumped in. Yeah.
So this might be a good time for me to ask you the next question, because I really wanted to hear you talk of this. And how did your near-death experience transform your connection to the angelic realm and your work as a medium?
I think it was interesting because as a person that as a teacher, most teachers are left brain logic. They have to be very organized. Okay. That's our astronauts. That's all our logical bookkeepers, tax papers, people that work in electronics or engineering. I love all the logical people. So I'm a logical person at heart, but so intuitive. So I'm always going, yeah, I believe in faith. Yeah, I believe in angels. Yeah, I hear it all. Yeah, I can do this. Yeah, I'm hearing the voices like, but I want proof to the pudding. Be careful what you ask for because you might just get it. And that's what I got. When my son is now 40, he was 13, and we ended up in a car accident going into a 5-lane highway, merging in, and I got hit by a car that I was unaware of, flipped 5 times in front of a rainy 5-lane I-25 forward go in motion, pulled over, and 18 cars pulled off to the side before I woke up. They were sure that I'd gotten hit. 3 cars came to me and gave me the vehicle, the Jeep that hit me, and told me to go to the police and let them know they were raging at me. But two people were walking around me saying, how did you learn to drive? Like, you don't have a dent in your car. Like, what happened? And all I could do is tell them I had big angels. And I was like shocked myself. But I just remember hitting my head like this, coming up, not a scratch on me, not a scratch on my son, not a scratch on my car. And I mean, you're looking at my angels definitely pushed me out of the way. And what I experienced was going up to the other realm, knowing instantly, instantly where you're at in the heavenly realm. And I was being seeing, looking up at the picture. Like when I was little, I always saw pictures that kind of looked like Santa Claus of God. Okay, the big picture of God with the white hair, and and having the children on his lap. Those were the pictures of God, of the images I had growing up in the churches. So I knew that God is like, an unseen world. We talk about God. Of course, when you're 5 and 6, you're looking for him in the freaking clouds and you can't find him. Sorry.
Right.
It's like, this is frustrating. And I'm telling my little my son, he's like, Mom, I put my glasses on. I thought I could see God. No, you can't see God. You know,
That's so cute.
I hear him and I see him, and this is not right because then I wake up, I still hear the voices, I still see those things. I'm like, yes, you're just clairvoyant, and all that good stuff. So I look at this knowing that I knew I was in heaven. I was very angry, started yelling, saying, I need to go downstairs, I need to get back, get me down to heaven, get me down to earth. I have 2 kids I need to take care of. I was a single mom of 2 kids, and I was mad and angry that they had taken me. And I was like, I don't want to be here. I have more world. I have so many things to do. You cannot take me. So I was like almost begging and angry at the same time, a little bit confused as to what is this answer going to be? Am I going to be stuck here? And some people are welcoming heaven, some people don't. Some people, when it's such a shock, they don't even know where they're at, but some do. It's like you're in instant love. And all I did was felt love, hands being held around me, and a big voice saying, we are only holding you. Yes, you are welcome to go back down to earth. We are only holding you. And at that time, I just felt pure love. Nothing on this earth can explain that purity of love that is on the other side. You do not feel any anger or hate. You can be upset. It's your emotion. But when you are there, it is pure love, all knowing. You merge with all knowing of everyone else. And the next thing I knew is telepathy, Pat, because you don't say your voice, you don't have a body, but you still feel like you do. You still feel like you do. And I basically was like, where's the angels? And then it was like all of a sudden I looked in the view, and I would say probably like 3 blocks away. It was at a distance, but if you could imagine, like maybe, I don't know, like 3 long blocks of 6 houses in them, far away, up in the sky, and that you could see the heavenly realm. I mean, you could see the heavens with the dark, like the stars. It was dark, but yet it was bright where you were at. So you were in the light, but you could see the night sky, and there was a circle in angelic chakra colors, and the
Wow.
were in a circle, holding hands, singing Ave Maria, coming towards me.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
I'm looking at this like I've never heard Ave Maria ever sung at such a beautiful, there's nothing on earth that can compare to that. It was
Mhm.
the most beautiful songs. And I sang in the cathedrals in Europe, in choir, saving my money to go there. And if that wasn't beautiful, or going to the most beautiful concerts and the most beautiful, church sermons, but this was incredible to hear that. And the next thing I knew, I was like, whoop, down in the light, and I felt going through the light and hooked, setting back down, and the door opening, and I mean standing up and popping back down into my chair, going. And somebody's like, "Where did you learn to drive? Did you learn from Andretti?" I was like, "He's like, Andretti is a NASCAR driver." okay, from France. And I was like, no, I just have big angels. And they're like, we just want to make sure you're okay. So the timing, I don't know how long I was dead. I don't know how long this was. How long does it take for 18 cars to park and come find out if you're okay? And 3 cars come and say, this is the number, this is the car. So I went to the police, Julian, and said, hey, this guy hit me. And they go, are you hurt? No. Is your car hurt? No. Then why are you wasting our time and energy? Only come to us if you truly have a problem. I was like, oh, that was really dumb of me. So did I learn not to bother police unless you really have a problem? Yes, that was one learning lesson. The second one I learned was that, I got proof to the pudding, but I know that my connection with the loved ones on the other side and sharing that connection with my near death experience with others that have had it, that some go to hell, some go to heaven, some just see dark, some are just on the wall. Your belief system creates what you're going to see on the other side. Knowing that I have channeled so many more people and more clarity since that happened, and that would have been 13, 23, 33. That would have been 27 years ago. And it is still vivid in my mind, something that will never be erased.
Wow, what a crazy but beautiful experience. I love near-death experience stories because even though there's some similarities in each of them, there's also some differences, because what you said, our belief system has a tendency to design what we see initially when we're on the other side.
Yes.
So when you're doing a reading, Kris,
Yeah.
when the archangels come through in a reading, how does their energy feel different from other spiritual guidance? How can you actually tell they're your archangels?
It's an interesting story. I want to say Proof of Heaven is a really good book for learning more about a man that didn't believe in God, that was a scientist that did die, went to the other side. He went to Duke University, and then he ended up working in hospitals as well as the university. And really much wrote about his story. When I read that, that was so true to life of what I heard. When people realized I could talk to people on the other side, they called me a medium. I looked at myself and said, no, I think I'm size small. So I didn't understand what mediumship was. So I understand that. You're asking me the differences between the angels and the loved ones on the other side. When I first heard the voice, I knew that it was one big angel, and I always connected it with the one that blew the horn, which is Gabriel. So then all of a sudden I started hearing all these voices, all these angels. It got very loud and confusing. So I asked Gabriel to bring me the best and the highest angel for communication, although Gabriel does represent creativity, communication, community, those C words. But Michael, Archangel Michael, that has the sword of truth, is also very strong. So I connected with Michael for that. And so Michael has been my one big angel. Much of the time it can sound like my own voice, but there is a distinct difference. I don't know how to explain it, because I've heard languages, and I have woken up speaking languages in Arabic, Chinese, Spanish,
Wow.
you know, Viking language, like Sanskrit language, India. So I have spoken different languages. I have heard different languages. I've heard different angelic languages. So it's very different for me. And sometimes I have to say, excuse me, angels, like in English. So you have to ask for details what you want. But many times I will ask Michael to bring me the loved one from the other side for the best messages I can give to someone else. When I do a reading, it's not like I call the phone and say, hey, everybody on the other side that wants to talk to this person, I'm doing a reading, please come on in. I just allow the reading to say, what is the best information you want me to give to this person? And if talking to a loved one from the other side is going to enhance the message or bring it to them what they really were after, then I'm like, excuse me, your grandma's coming in. I need to talk to you about your grandma. She's really bugging me. So they will like let me know, I want to talk to her. You need to tell her this. And it sounds different than the Michael energy. And sometimes I've heard like their relatives come in more with an English accent or a German accent. So they'll come in with different accents for the information. Now, everybody receives their channeling in a different way. Some people allow them to take over their body. I'm like, no, I already did that. Scared the bejesus, scared the girl that I knew. She never talked to me again. She's still scared of me. Put up all her Jesus and Mother Mary pictures and said, I don't know you. I don't want to know you any longer.
Oh my God.
We're taken by the devil. I'm like, okay, whatever. Okay, just like not going to let that happen. So I don't let anything come into my body, which is a way of channeling. I choose to keep them on the outside. I think it did really help me a lot, not only with the near-death experience, but once my ex-husband died, to understand how to get the messages through the dreams, how to do the meditations, how to do, I really need you to come in and to request that. Many times with the ones that I knew and I walked on earth with, whether it be my grandparents, my aunts, my uncles, those who are close to, they come in right away. Sometimes there's people that might be, you want to talk to your husband, but guess what? Your mother wants to come in. He's still processing. He's still busy on the other side going through his healing process. And many times they will come in the vision of how you knew them. And if you're angry at someone, they don't necessarily want to come in and talk to you until you resolved some of that.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
there's so many variable factors that come in. But I do know that if people know that I talk to the other side, if it doesn't automatically come in a reading, it's not of greatest importance. They still need to work on it, or they still need to wait, or time has healed. So it's very, very different. But there are some people going, I want to talk to you. I know my mother died. I want to talk to her. And so it's different. People can come in and want to talk to somebody right away. Other people can say, no, I just, like, I already have that resolved. I don't want to talk about that, or I'm not ready to talk about that. So it really is different, but I always ask the angels with my 5 or 6 different deck of cards. I've got 45, 50 deck of cards because, I taught tarot and oracle cards. Yeah.
Wow. So talking about um, communicating, angelic communication or psychic mediumship, what is the biggest misconception that you would say people have about speaking with your angels or being a medium?
If they're super religious, they believe that I am not a soothsayer of the Bible, but I am doing dark magic or witch. So I get a lot of that, especially when I would be like in Raleigh or Tampa doing the fairs there, because you're talking about the Bible Belt area. Even if I go south in parts of Texas, you still, Oklahoma, Kansas, you still have aspects of that. And I'm not saying that there's just different parts of the country that if it was more of what we know in America, Bible Belt country, that there is an aspect. And even here in Colorado, there was a fair that I had to be an ordained minister, which I did become an ordained minister, a reverend, or I could not do readings. And that was in the 80s, that they believed that you needed to be a reverend or you could not be a part of our group. So I became a reverend. I did have people wanting me to marry and bury people. I'm like, I don't feel qualified to do that. Yes, I can. Do I want to? No. It's a lot of legalities, but I do have the card that I'm a reverend. Have I advertised it? No, it's not one of the big things that I advertise. But the misconceptions might be that you have an entity around you, you are of the devil. And then there's other people going, how do you know this? Like, who talked to you? Like, did you talk to my sister? I know you must have talked to my sister to find out this information. So it can scare them or it can bring them closer to you once they get to know you and understand how you do it. I do it because I have so many different gifts, and who knows, God probably knew before I did, or my universe, soul, other side, whatever, that I knew that I probably was going to need a lot of gifts to be able to do what I do in this lifetime. I didn't, you would have asked me at 10, 15, 25, even age maybe, I don't know, 30. Are you going to grow up to be a psychic? Are you going to grow up to be a medium? You're going to grow up to be, I was like, no, like I'm going to grow up to be a teacher and be a wife and be a mom of kids. Like, no. So I didn't think about that. But as you realize, what can I give out to others? What is natural for you? This is so natural for me to do this. But when I first started, I did have to take notes and I did have to build my self-esteem. I'm still trying to set boundaries, girl.
I'll bet.
To learn. But when you love doing what you do,
Yeah.
doing a little longer doesn't bother me. I just want to, like, okay, oops, time's up. I got to stop. We're in the middle of it. No, I just can't. I'm a person that needs to finish up. So, and I'm a chatty Cathy, and I know that. So I would say, Juliana, that I love doing what you do. And when you find that you love doing what you do, you just want to do it like all the time.
Right. So when
This
you're,
but I do know I need to charge. That's a universal law.
yeah, right.
Mhm.
Yeah, that energy exchange is important.
Yeah.
Has there ever been a message from the angels or the angelic realm that surprised even you?
Um, so many messages. I
Yeah.
don't even know which one to choose that might have surprised me. I think the surprising was the message of knowing things ahead of time. Like, are you sure about this? Like knowing that my daughter was going to marry a person described like this, and then knowing that he's going to be temporarily in her life and going to be leaving at a certain time. Sometimes I know things before they happen, don't always like that. Knowing that my son is going to get involved with a certain person, but it's not going to work out. My heart hurts for that, for them
Yeah.
repeating the generational cycle of me getting married and divorced, my parents getting married and divorced, and I wanted them not to get married and divorced, and it didn't happen. So neither one of them could break that generational cycle. But some of those things coming in, I didn't like to know or to hear. Different people winning versus losing at like maybe the football games. Hey, I'm a psychic, but I like football. Am I going to realize about this or that? Sometimes, sometimes not. Many times I can know things before they happen. Many times I'm not supposed to know things. But I would say just the information about futuristic events. And if they're good, I'm happy to know them. If they're not so good, like knowing about the earth changes that are maybe happening, the more flooding, the more earthquakes, the more
Yeah. Natural
hurricanes,
disasters.
to know those, and I visualize and I see those. So I would say some of those I like to choose not to be knowledgeable, but if someone is asking me, they flash those in front of me for the best answer I can give to an individual. And yes, I have reminded my people that live, my little peeps that are in Florida, you better be careful. You're going to be an island of Florida in the future, about 5 years. You better be ready.
Wow. Wow.
You don't want to hear that? No, I don't want to hear you. Like half of Texas. I'm sorry, don't be living in Corpus Christi. You ain't going to be there other than underwater. Some of the people in LA, no, you're going to be underwater. But we're also going to have technology where people may live in pods underwater. So am I not seeing that part, the positive AI part that, yeah, it might be flooded, but where are the people? Oh, they're actually doing quite fine with tunnels going underground, and they're living on the sea floor, not on the earth floor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So there could be different parts of the picture that you're not always given or seen, but I am more one that is hope and enlightenment than fear and death. But death is, we live forever. There is no death. It's just death of the physical.
Right, right. I was speaking to somebody the other day, and she was using that term death, and I started to repeat it, and I said, "Wait a minute, that doesn't mean anything to me. The
No,
word death is not a part of my vocabulary." So,
exactly.
so for listeners who feel
Yeah.
curious but unsure, how
Mhm.
can someone begin to recognize angelic signs in their own life?
I would say look at the variety of signs that come to you. And those signs can be triple numbers like 1111, like 1111 in the morning and at night. It can be the 222s. It can be on a sign you see on TV, on an advertisement, on a phone number, 222. It could be the 999s. It could be the license plate numbers. It could be the pennies on the ground. It could be the butterflies, the moths, the birds, the different animals that represent animal symbols. It can be sunrises, sunsets. It can be the angels that you see, or words that you see. Sometimes books will fly out in front of you, like, oh, this book just fall down on the floor in the library because I need it. Okay. So there will be different signs to recognize those. Those are in more of a 3D. I always ask people to ask from the world they want to connect with, that heavenly realm, that angelic realm, to ask for, hit me by a 2x4 to give me a sign. And if you don't hear anything, like I'm hearing crickets, man, like then you'll say, okay, well then I just need to wait, or I'm like trying to block it, I'm getting in my way. But there are natural signs that if you start looking for them, they will start coming to you. I also encourage meditation. I encourage grounding, getting outdoors. If you can get near water, if you can get in a sandy area, if you can get on grass. I mean, in the nicer weather, I'm in Colorado. Of course, there's like snow, but we're supposed to get, I think, up to 55 degrees. You can still take your shoes and socks off and stand.
Right.
Us, so grounding, hugging a tree, taking nature walks. So all of those things, silence or allowing your mind to start talking to you. You can do it in a bubble bath. You can do it through exercise time. You can do it chop wood, carry water when you're washing dishes. That quiet time to understand your own information coming in, automatic writing, lighting that, I don't know, whatever tools you want on the outside, be it crystals, candles, incense, whatever. All of those are just tools of enhancement. You can do anything just as a person. But if you have pad and paper, you can write out things, allow the voices to come to you. That's how writers work. Gabriel Bernstein is very good at that, teaching how to do the writing, and how she actually allowed the things to come through with writing so much to clear out the information and then waiting for the information to come in, and on a set timing. So I would say do set timing of automated writing and ask questions, wait to hear. And the first thing that comes in your mind that many times is in your same voice, write down that answer.
Right.
If you have intuitions, write them down, put them in a book. 30 days later, come back and connect with them. Ask for your angels and your loved ones to come and give you signs and messages. And if they've gone through the school of learning how to come see you at night, then they will come in your dreams. You usually have to be a little more clairvoyant to have that happen.
Because then you also have to remember it the next morning. And I always tell people to be sure and wake up and write down immediately, because as the day progresses, you'll forget.
Yes, or talk it right away into your iPhone or a recording. And then also fluorite, not that comes in the toothpaste, not with the DE, but the ITE fluorite is a crystal of enhancement for remembering your dreams.
Ah. So, with having so many different types of energy around you all the time, also summoning them, probably at times asking them to give you a break.
Yeah.
How do you protect yourself?
I do a lot of chakra alignments. Okay. I do a lot of Reiki, self Reiki for myself. So many times I can do like a closing down of the chakras. Sometimes a zipping it up versus unzipping it or opening it. And many times I will visualize like a bubble of energy around me. I have different meditations that I listen to. I do meditate at least twice a day, sometimes 3 and 4 times a day. I'll get a quick 2-minute meditation in between readings sometimes, or I'll do, and like, okay, it's been a busy day. There's a lot going on. I need 15 minutes and I'll do a guided meditation. So I would say I also carry crystals. So I'm always carrying like the black tourmaline, all the black crystals, wearing a darker color. I knew I was going to be on, but I felt like red today, powerhouse. Okay. But many black energy, like the black shirt that you're wearing, you will go to metaphysical fairs and many people are wearing it because it is a reflector, or it is a like, don't bother me. It's kind of like what you want to call the bubbling up of the energy of protection.
That's interesting because I wear black a lot. I always have. And for some reason, I don't know if it's because I'm a Scorpio or what, but black seems to give me power.
Yes. And it does on the water signs.
There you go.
Black gives you power. I don't know about the others. I think blue is the air sign that gives power. I have not figured out. Maybe those brown or green colors are the ones that give the earth sign powers. And I would say probably more higher level, like purples would be the color probably for your wands, or the, what do you call this? Fire signs.
Oh, fire signs. Okay. That's good to
I
know.
haven't even looked into that. That's funny that you asked about that. But I do know that wearing color black, which I wear a lot to the metaphysical fairs, or when I feel like, oh, I have like, kind of like a lot of people I need to get to, then the color black is also protective energy.
So, with all the healing that you do, what kind of healing do people most often experience through angelic readings that they don't necessarily expect?
The peace and the calm that comes from the answers and the knowingness that I share with them, the relief that when they've gotten a message from their loved one on the other side that they need to cherish life and not feel so guilty like they could have done something different to change it. I do know that I can see their panic when I first start talking to them, but as we get through and they start asking questions and answering, and I give them the answers, they're like, whether they like the answer or they don't, I'm like, you might not like the answer. This is what I get you. But if I don't speak the truth, this is taken away. I don't want this taken away, and you don't either. So we're going to keep this going. I'm going to speak that truth. But I would say it's the relief that they have afterwards, or it is the knowledge of, do I do A or B? What should I do? Sometimes they just need to talk to somebody to make a decision for them. I don't make big decisions for people. I will give them like fork, like A or B. You can do this or you can do that. Take me with a grain of salt. You are your highest healer. You are your highest intuitive being. You
Right.
just try to trust in yourself. So giving them the trust, mentoring them, giving them the gift of Reiki for them to do for themselves and others, start a business with it, teaching them the tarot, how they can, and some of them just want it for themselves. Other people will use it, and all of a sudden, like, I'm meeting you at a fair, man. Thank you. I have put over 25 people into fairs with their gifts through mentoring. So I would say it depends on what they came to me for what I give to them. And sometimes it's just, any more recently, I've just done a Q&A. Do you want to work with me? Let's do a quick 10 or 15-minute Q&A. That's what coaches do. I was always just a reader. I don't know that I did things differently than others. Everybody has their own way of bringing in the information, reading the cards. Everybody is unique. But if you get the same message from three different people, three different ways, I would probably kind of listen to that.
might be important to say.
3 times I hear. Yeah. So it really is variable. I have had a few people that I just don't connect with. And if they want to hear what they want to hear, I usually don't connect with them, and I'll lead them like, I don't know if I'm for you. Yeah. And there's
Yeah.
very many people, Juliana, that I have turned away. I have truly done the best that I can. But when you are a phone reader for another store that they just send you a variety of people, I will know. And sometimes I'm like, they're like, no, that's not true. No, that's not true. I'm like, I just don't know that I'm for you for this session. So I would give them back, only to find out that they had gone through all 5 of the readers at the store.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
They hadn't gotten the message.
Yeah.
They hadn't gotten the message they wanted to hear.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right. And I think that's probably the number one thing that I even tell my clients through when I'm doing hypnosis sessions with them. Come with an open mind. Understand that your soul is going to take you where you need to go in order to heal. This
Yes.
isn't something that I'm controlling or that you're controlling. Your
Right.
soul is going to take you where it needs to go.
Exactly.
And you have to trust that.
Wonderful.
So, yeah.
I used to say, take everything that I tell you with a grain of salt, and I cannot make decisions, especially those of the heart, but I can give you a guidance if you choose this path or if you choose this path. Yeah.
Let's talk a minute, because we can't not bring this up. It's so prevalent and relevant in everybody's life right now, Kris. What is going on with our crazy, crazy world now, and how can those of us who are striving to stay balanced do that best?
We are going through what I want to call 2 years of 2025, the ending 9 years, endings of a 25-year snake year, very endings of letting goes. We're starting 2026 with ones, with newness, with new starts, the horse Chinese energy. So knowing that we have 2025 and 2026, which are actually 10 years compacted into 2 years, we are very much seeing not a short-lived collapsing of things, but a very quick collapsing of things, of what didn't get done, say from 20 to 2024. We are going to also see the starting of new with more union. We're seeing the unity of people through marches. I want to say it's almost a repeat of history of Martin Luther King Day, which is coming on the 19th, of the people that were the Black people in America that were in slavery, that they are fighting for their rights. Okay, the women's suffrage that happened in the 1920s, 30s, 40s, that we wanted that. Okay, that fight to get the vote. So we are now having another fight for a government that will provide for the people, not for the greedy or the billionaires or the lies, all of that. So the truth is coming to the surface. I see that we are now realizing of oneness, and the best you can do is with this 20 years of Age of Aquarius that started a year ago, knowing that we are going into community, this idea of community. If you can try and get along with your family, if you can get your like tribes together, any people that you are finally connected with, if you can join a group with them. My guides are like, Kris, you need to start your own little group, even though you have 1,000 people as clients, but or join a group, which I've joined a group, or tell people to come into the groups. Then just start with your neighbor, start with maybe the food banks, start with the little places in town, because it's going to start with community helping each other, knowing that we can do things in masses. Now, we had to have good angels and fallen angels. I can only soul that went to God and said, what role do you want me to play on it? We want you to play the fallen angel. I'm like, what? Okay, so there are certain souls that have to play the bad guy, all right? And I would say our president is playing the bad guy to wake up the people to realize what is of importance, what is not, and to create unity for the rebuilding. Because we might think then, and of course I said, God, can we have them one at a time, like the banks collapse, then maybe the education collapse, and then the hospitals, healthcare, and can we have them one at a time? No, they're all interconnected.
Yeah.
All going to collapse at the same time, but they are going to be rebuilt by the people for the goodness of oneness for all. And we are, as I can tell you that, and not that I'm right, and there's so many variable factors, but when I got this dream 3 or 4 times, and now I'm hearing other big wig psychics talk about this, that once we changed the Pope, which I was told was in my backyard, so he's an American Pope, so I knew that when he changed over the next 2 to 3 years, they said 1 to 2, and then they said now it's 2 to 3, because things are taking longer than planned, that we have 6 world leaders that are going to leave. Now, there is behind the scenes, are these the real guys or are these remote control people? Has the real person, because at one time died and they put a replacement, which is what we can't even phantom in our idea, that there are replacement figures or more than one figure, like the movie Multiplicity that had that guy that played in the Jack Frost movie. I can't think of Michael Keaton played that as you get different characters. So there's so much coming around as far as what to believe. But I do know that with you have 6 world leaders leaving in a 2-year time period, there is going to be world changes happening. I can tell you to try not to get too involved in the fear and the worry and the uncontrol
and the drama.
And the trauma, because they're trying to create that, because there is still another fight going on in the unseen world with we're part of the galaxy, that when we move up, then all the other parts of the systems also get to move up. We are definitely being watched by higher beings of other planets, and many of their planets at the time that Earth was ready to do its shift, like now, they got like Atlantean time where it was destroyed. Okay, I am being told Earth is not to be destroyed. It is too important. It is too much of an experiment. But we are watching that if we, as creative DNA created beings on this Earth, get to shift, then they have hope that their planets can also do a shifting.
Right.
They are so focused on our little part in the very end of the big galaxy that 3AI Atlas came and did sprinkling of stardust. It was big federation. Originally, the Lyrians came to talk to me about that. So I do all kinds of things. Like I'm very much the woo woo, and it was Arcturians that I actually talked with in the first place. But I've also had friends, and I've channeled in the praying mantis energies for them and for her. So yeah, I'm kind of like all out there, and definitely part of Palladian and Orion and Lyrian.
It's amazing when you get going, and I can just feel this information that's coming through you. Like just then, that was like, wow, 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 wow.
There's a lot going on. And when they tell me, don't worry, we do have a better world. We have the world where we might be living a bit off the grid, but working with each other, growing our own food, very healthy, very there. It's more feminine energy taken care of, but there's still going to be what I want to call this kind of Mad Max world where people are still running the money, the banks, the government,
Right.
a part of this 3D world. But our worlds will not collide. It's almost like Maleficent, where you have the dark forest and then you have that brighter world, like that bright world. And so there's the two different worlds, and you just don't cross over into the other one. We will, as your son verified, we can never have full 5D on Earth, but we can have more 5D than 3D if we so choose it. And we can create the world that we want, that we love, through our thought process and our
Right.
vibrations.
Right. And I have heard that is not the change to 5D, as everybody is hearing it,
Yeah.
is not what we think. It's not one day we wake up and
Yeah.
boom, everything's different and we're in 5D because the whole earth has done it at once. It apparently happens within the individual.
It sure does. And trying to explain that, when I had people like, no, when are the ETs coming? Like, we're going to see a big spaceship. Yeah, it's supposed to happen November, December this year, the big spaceship. Kind of like that Independence Day. It might come down. We might go that, and like, we're all, hey, take me. I don't want Earth anymore. Like this terrible. Okay, so, but no, they're just able to let us know we're working with you. We're
I
here.
I also love that you brought up the fact that we're all playing roles here,
We are.
including the American president right now.
Yeah.
This is not the first time that I have heard people say that he is playing a role,
Yes.
that he actually had a contract,
Yes, he did.
that he was going to come here and through and just absolutely wreak havoc and chaos the best he
That,
could in order to bring everything up to the light.
yes.
That's what we needed to do.
That's his role. Had we had the other president, who should have gotten in and was voted in, but it was a money rigged deal to have the other to have
Absolutely, absolutely.
it in, but we had to have somebody to wake up the people, for the people to realize they have more power, and we have to fight for freedom. But this is the time planetary energy, as World War II, as the Civil War, as the Revolutionary War, as many of our wars we've had, even World War I. It is similar repeat energy that we are going through with what's happening with our Mars planet.
Wow.
Keep that in mind. But is he playing a role? Yes. We've been playing many different roles. There are definitely, different people that are waking up earlier, holding the light, being the healers, or other people that they're choosing. Like, it wasn't my time to wake up until later. There are those at three different levels. If you listen to Dolores Cannon talk about the three different levels, those that were born from the 50s, 60s, 70s, those that were born from the 80, 90s to the 2000s, those that are just recently born. I mean, the children with the gifts these days are amazing.
I actually interviewed an astrologist yesterday. She was saying the same thing. These kids that are coming,
Oh,
they come with a preparation of knowledge already.
yeah. Yeah, they have that big knowledge base, but they're a lot of them are old souls. They have been on Earth many, many times. So we're having a flooding in of Earth of old souls, where we might have had a sprinkling of old souls to do that wake up. Yes, and a lot of star seeds. I don't know, at one time we were called indigo children. I'm like, that sounds good. That's a beautiful color. I like indigo.
Uh,
And they're crystal children, and I don't even know what the term is. I mean, it used to be called New Age. What do you mean New Age? It's what is it now? You're called a medium. You don't talk to the dead. Like what? Seance. I just said so many different terms and different words. But I would say the AI is going to help us in the medical field. May not always in all of the taking over the jobs, but there's a reasoning why people had to lose their jobs to give them times to self-worth, to say, do I want to go back to that 9 to 5? Have I changed on the spiritual level? Do I want to do a different role in life? This is now the time to do that shift and change. Others are very scared, and others are learning to go forward with going with the flow of the energy, but it's giving them opportunity to do changes in their life that were long overdue.
What do you say to our listeners out there that are really struggling in terms of inflation and the price increase, that on a daily basis are worried when they go to the grocery store, when they have to pay rent, when they have to pay make their house payment, or whatever the case is? What would you say to them?
I would remind them that faith can get you through. You have to learn to ask for help from all different places. That's where the community has to come in. You might have to like tuck your chin down and say, okay, it's time I got to go to the food banks where I've never been before. I even had to do that as a single mom when my son was growing and I didn't have enough money at the end of the month. Something came up. I don't know. I think I had to get a car part or something. And so 500 out of my savings went. I was still short. And I went to got milk and I searched out where the food banks were as a single mom.
Wow.
So I'm like, I'm a teacher. I make a teacher salary. Now it's not a lot, but hey, I should not be able to do this. So it was like asking for the help. I would say there is going to be changes in the future that will help, but that doesn't help the certain situation now. I would say look up recipes if you still have a running computer or iPhone. If you are able to keep that going and open, you might have to downsize is the word, but depression times, do what they did in the depression times and you will still get through. No, you might not like having to make a cake without, eggs, but you can use applesauce. You might not have to stretch the potato and use the potato skins where you used to just dump them, but you can make soup with potato skins, even whether you like them or not. You can save your vegetables in your freezer, but I would say you might need to borrow what you can to get yourself through if you're able. If you can't, you've got to keep reaching out to ask for help from others. You might need to realize, and we will realize, that many different cultures live together to survive. I mean, I want to say the Asian community, it's still expected that their mothers live with the children. The children still live with their mothers, and when the mothers don't go to a nursing home, they stay in the family and they're taken care of. And the Hispanic families, I love that they are very much living with each other and connected. Now, there is something about that helps each other out, okay? But the older people of the baby boomers don't understand that the price of a house is $665,000. 20 some years ago, I bought one for $140,000. Big difference. Rent was from, I don't know, 8,900 out high, up to 2,800, 3,000 now. And that California, New York, or Colorado. So I know that we're in the top three. I think New York is first, and then California, and then Colorado for prices for living. If you have to, you may have to relocate to find a place that is lower in rent. Whether Wyoming is lower, if you live in Colorado, go into Kansas, Nebraska, I know is cheaper, maybe New Mexico. So you may have to do what you can to try and get through. But I do know whether you like canned food or not, canned food can get you through. That's what they lived on in the Depression time. Buy the fresh stuff that you do need, stretch it. You can add things. I don't know, like what did they used to make everything with beans and rice, beans and rice. So I would say not that I want you to go backwards, but if we already knew that our great grandparents made it through a time called the Depression, look back and find out what did they do. There can be a time of buying used versus always new. So you can go to the places, whether that's Habitat for Humanity to buy a used washer dryer, or go to the thrift stores to get used things. Look and see how much of your stuff do you already have that you just are doing retail therapy because I just got to spend, where you really know that you can do more, maybe a no spend challenge, or less spending challenge month now and then. And I know people are, a lot of them are being pushed into that already. I don't know, I guess because I came from a big family and not necessarily a rich family. For me, what's going on, I can adjust to that. Everybody is different because sometimes they want instant gratification. They want this instant. I have to have the newest. I mean, I still remember my son crying because I'm sorry, I didn't have $100 to get you the Nikes when they first came out. You had to make do with the J.C. Penney's brand, whatever was on sale, or I could put on a credit card at the time. So, I mean, we would go to the thrift store when they finally started coming out. Oh, I got these Nikes and they're only like $20. This is good. They're 150 at the store, slightly used. So I would say a lot of people don't like that and certainly wash things or, put them in salt to get the energy off of them. If you believe that this carries the energy of somebody else, of course it does. But there's always things you can do to clear it, to cleanse it, reuse it.
Yeah, I use sage.
Yes, totally. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I put crystals in my salts, in my bath and container salt, put them out for the moonlight. I wash things, I sage things. Yeah. So I don't know if that helps for the answer.
Oh, yeah, very, very much. I think
they just don't know how to ask for help because they were taught, no, you're strong enough. You don't need to.
And if for some reason you don't care for, one of the reasons you don't care for canned foods is because of the salt intake, you can rinse them.
Yes,
there's all kinds of things that you can do.
You can, I mean, if you look at the grocery store, the fresh area or what you can buy that's on sale in season is what you need to go for. And certainly you can find out what days are better to buy than others, where they put a lot of things on clearance that might only be a day or two old.
Right.
For yogurt, I found a ton of yogurt that was only like within a week old. They weren't the $2 coconut kind that I like, but they were on sale for 49 cents. I'm like, yay, bingo. Got eggs for 95 cents. Bingo. Okay. So think about that. The other thing that I do to help me is that we manifest when we're feeling good versus the worry of poor pity me. I can't make it. How am I going to make it? Like that negative, and it's a realistic negative. Like I'm looking at the numbers. The numbers aren't lying. I don't know what to do. But when we manifest, we have to have that feeling of good energy. So if you can write down the money that you did bring in, the work that you did do, the free things that you did get, when you can look at that list of the good and what you have and that attitude of gratitude, you're going to be creating more coming into you than if you find justification for why it's poor pity me and I'm a poor person.
That is such a good idea. Such a good idea. I used to tell my daughter all the time when she would really get into that place in life where everything was bad, everything was negative, she didn't see hope for anything. I used to recommend that she go into a room or find a private place that she's comfortable in. And instead of itemizing all the things that are wrong in her life, begin to itemize all the things that are right in her life.
Exactly. I do a gratitude journal every day. And I also keep a list of money that I saved in the grocery store, money that I've created, money that comes in from my Social Security, because I'm of that age. Long story short, I had to get it because of Medicare and it being dropped. I mean, the government has a lot of improvements on Medicare and Medicaid.
Right.
Still do, including the Department of Education. But we're making do with what is receiving and coming in. But also the little birthday gifts you get, the food, and maybe somebody bought you a cup of coffee. Like, put that down. Maybe you went through Starbucks and it was a pass it forward. Like, write all of those things that you did manifest, that you do have. And I was kind of like, maybe I need to go get Band-Aids. No, I looked at my drawer and I'm like, parents had Band-Aids in their bathroom. I'm caretaking my parents here. And it's a win-win. They caretake me and I caretake them. But it was like, I don't need to go get Band-Aids. I found some and they had some. So it's kind of like, look to see what you have before having to go out and just for the thrill and instant gratification, have to get it right now.
Right.
I know my sister, when she did say I did have retail therapy really bad. She would we know it. We realize it. She said, I would put things on a cart, and then I knew I would have to sleep on it and look after work the next day going, do I really want it? Nope, don't want to do it. She said, now I just do it on Sundays. So I list everything I really want on a Sunday. I wait a whole week. Do I still need it or want it? Nah, maybe I'll like one thing. She goes, I do get a thrill of getting food because I know I have a budget and I get to choose under my budget all the different food items that I might want. And so she said that is where I get the thrill, and I always have it delivered. So I feel like it's coming to me like a gift. So
Wow.
you do what you need to do to give you that feeling of, I feel rich. We are so rich in everything else. And when you get older, you realize it is the people in your life and the actions, activities that you do, the connections that you have, the love of work, the love of nature. There's so many other things that make up this idea of at a certain point in your life, but it all depends on your north and south node, what you're trying to learn while you're on
Mm,
earth. And
hmm.
people still always have to have that material items, even though we all know we can't take them with them to the other side. But we can leave them for other people to have.
You have really said some amazing things, Kris. I appreciate it so much. I usually at the end of our episode, I usually ask my guests to impart something that they would like for our viewers to walk away with. If there's one thing that you could leave us all with today, what would that be?
Gosh. I think it would be what my grandmother always reminds me, and she told me in person before she crossed over, this too shall pass. And she also added, don't get your panties in a wad. This too shall pass. Okay. So I have to act a little bit like, Kris, you're worried. I was always the worried child growing up. And then later I'm like, no, I have other sisters that worry. But it was always a reminder that this too shall pass. But, and I think that would be the best message that I would give to others, that even though you feel like you're stuck in a situation, if you look 5 years ago, did you have the same problems? If you look 10 years ago, did you have the same problems? Visualize the problems that you might want in the future, but I would say don't visualize problems, visualize adventures, actions, feelings. What do you want to plan for your future? Live in the moment, but don't get into, angst of the future or regret from the past. I still give people that hopono words of thank you, forgive me, I love you, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Wow. Those are beautiful words.
And I don't know if people are not familiar with hopono. It is words of mantras you can say to help, and you can certainly do breathing with them. There is music, you can play with it, but I would just Google search hopono. It is a Hawaiian prayer, I would say, or a Hawaiian way of healing that they used for asylum or people that didn't fit into the world, that helped cure them, and they were out living in the society again.
So many indigenous
Mm-hmm.
individuals that have lived on this earth just have the most amazing way of expressing the importance of gratitude.
Yes.
And that's something that we as modern day Americans really need to work on. Kris, thank you so much for sharing your angelic wisdom today and your profound journey with
Um,
all of us. Everything that you said is just, I was hanging on every word. Your presence is such a beautiful reminder that divine guidance is always closer than we really think.
yeah. And nature, get people, the last word of wisdom would be connect with nature. It's so healing.
Right, right. I hear that a lot, and I need to do more of it. I
Me,
really do. Sometimes I get a little comfortable and a little complacent inside my home,
me too.
and I need to be out there more. So,
Yep.
so it is that time. And to everyone that is tuning in, if something in this episode resonated with you, I invite you to join the conversation and leave a comment below. Kris, I will definitely put your contact information in the description box, and also your website information will be just below you in a little square.
Perfect.
Uh,
And say my phone number to text me is the best way to get a hold of me.
okay, good to know. Good to know. I'll put that in the information box as well.
Sounds
If
good.
you if you haven't already, all of the listeners out there, please like, subscribe, and share Souls on Tap with someone who is really ready for deeper conversations. Your support helps these stories reach the people who are meant to hear them. So until next time, Trust the remembering, follow the call, and keep your souls curious. And we'll see you on Souls on Tap.